Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to the BDO Beat. I'm joined by no other than Richard Ashdown. Richard, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Paul. Are you?
I am very well, thank you. And the world of darts keeps you absolutely on your toes. And it's a busy time in the world of BDO now, isn't it? The World Championship, we're looking at the players who have qualified and more qualification, I believe, coming up. So do you mind just quickly a little bit of explanation? So the top 16 in the world, they're in as seeds, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So the cut-off, it's an annual ranking, and the cut-off was at the end of September. So we took the top 16, they're seeded.
Yeah.
And then the next 8 players are unseeded, but they go directly into the first round. So players 17 down to 24.
Yeah.
And then the 25th ranked player also gets in as it stands.
Yeah.
It was Dennis Harbour, and then the finalist from last year, Jeff Smith, he's outside the top 24. He automatically gets in and invite back if you reach the final the year before.
Yes, yeah.
And they also give a place to the Winmau World Masters, so a space is held for that player.
Right, okay.
Which is Jimi Hendrix is the standby player in the ranking. So it's always a bit confusing, but it's all spelled out. If you look on bdodarts.com, the list is complete, but basically, it's the top 24 into the first round proper, and then there are going to be 16 players playing off in the prelim round at Lakeside, and 9 of those come from regional tables or qualifiers around the world. Yeah. So most of those have been made up now, so all the names are there, it's all filled in, and we have 4 more to come from the playoffs at the Winmau World Masters.
Excellent. And so it's 40 players, 8 go out in the prelim, then we're down to the 32. Great.
That's it.
Okay, so, and I think I'm right in saying that Mr. Fordham, Andy Fordham, of course, former world champion, he missed a couple of darts to get in that.
I don't think it was too clear at the time, but a few people were talking at the British Open that, and it was true, that if he'd hit the double top against Richard Veenstra, he would have been in Lakeside, he'd have qualified.
Yes.
So he just missed out. But he'll be one to watch in the qualifiers, but they're always so tough, you can never quite tell.
And as far as the qualifiers, basically that's open to anyone to enter?
Yeah, anyone in the BDO system. There are ways of getting into it, which I won't. I mean, we could spend the whole
cool.
10 minutes discussing that, but players in Britain qualify through their counties. Each of the WDF-affiliated countries have their qualifiers or their nominated players. Yeah. So, you see 300-odd players going, which will be in the Lakeside this year for the World Masters. They'll all be heading there to try and qualify for both the Lakeside World Championships and, of course, the prelim rounds of the Winmau World Masters.
Right.
So many players from all over the world taking part in the early stages.
Yeah, and as far as the ladies' event, that's just the top 16 in the world?
It's, again, there are 2 qualifiers from the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Winmau World Master. Right. So it's the top 13 that are guaranteed.
Yeah.
Then we have the Winmau World Master and 2 qualifiers from the player.
Making up...
So Claire Brookin's on standby. If the World Master is already qualified, then Claire Brookin, who's been a great player, England international in the past, she'll make her debut at Lakeside if an outsider doesn't win the World Masters. So it's a nervous time for those players.
I was just about to say the men's and the women. I can remember Ted Hankey last year, wasn't it? It was in the Masters, wasn't it? When he was just on those toes there, just waiting. So that's the world.
Thomas Stinhan's got to the semis from Switzerland, and he was completely an outsider in the rankings, and he could have made it. So it's all interesting. It's always good fun those few days at the World Masters, and we're going to be back at the Lakeside for that. So
great fun. And of course, before that, it was the middle of November, we have the Grand Slam of darts. Of course, 32 players, 8 from the BDO. I've got the list here. Scott Waite's Jeff Smith, of course, made the World Final last year, as you know. So Darryl Fitton, because he won the World Trophy.
Yeah.
Glenn Durant, because World Masters, and because he is the best player in the BDO, isn't he, really? So he would. Scott Mitchell, Danny Noper, Jamie Hughes, and Martin Adams, who he went down a storm last year, didn't he?
Well, the last 4 you've mentioned have got in by virtue of being the highest ranked, not already qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone... Martin, because of recent health issues, didn't play too much of the circuit towards the tail end of the season.
Yeah.
A few people were wondering if he'd just drop out of that 8, but I think many people, especially the fans at Wolverhampton, are glad that he's returning. Wolfie returns to Wolves, so the headlines are already written.
They are.
It's nice. I'm pleased for him because of what's going on, irrespective of darts.
Yeah.
What's going on in his personal life with his health. It's a real tonic for him to be back at Wolverhampton.
Yeah, so a superstar last year, and it's great to see it, isn't it? I mean, we won't talk about PDC, BDO. That's not what it's all about. But to see these players going head to head, and Glenn Durant, I mean, he's one of the players that maybe people who watched PDC darts have never really seen this man, and he's a fantastic player. He hasn't won the World Championship. People perhaps haven't seen the best of him.
No, I know what you mean. The thing that I've been saying about Glenn is just his consistency. His level is always very high, whether you watch him on the early rounds on the floor or when he's on the stage. That's what's making him so tough to beat, and that's the reason he's top of the tree in the rankings. I think we've discussed it in the past, Paul, that when he wins a ranking event, he tends to save his best for the big ones, the ones that are the big points. Yeah. The Welsh Open, the England Open, those sort of events that give him the big points, and he's top of the tree in the rankings, and whether he'd been reigning World Master or not, he would have been at the Grand Slam by virtue of his ranking position.
Yeah. And of course, a player who maybe, I just missed out, Dean Reynolds, because he was being climbed out the rankings, and perhaps if the time was a little bit on the invitations, then perhaps he would have made that. Yeah,
he's unlucky in terms of that. I'll agree with you. I mean, Danny Nopper, and I'm not taking anything away from Danny, but his great form was at the beginning of the year, and he's just tailed off as we've come to the. But he's hung in there and held his ranking position, whereas Dean Reynolds is the form player right now, and it would have been interesting if he'd have got through. But I mean, it must be frustrating for the young players that we say it, but his time will come. He is a great player, and you're going to see much, much more of him as the years go on.
Yeah, and that is a great event in Wolverhampton. I always try to make it along there in Tungsten Tells. And will you be involved, Richard, this year, or does that clash?
In a professional capacity, but I'll certainly be involved in a supporting role because I'll be attending on that first weekend and maybe later in the week. So always good to get involved, have a chat with the media and just support all of the players. I really enjoy it. So looking forward to it.
It is great, and it's great for darts. Of course, we've got the World Masters at the beginning of December, before, of course, the World Championship. So what a time to be a professional dart player, and as much of it on the telly as possible. That's what we like to see.
Oh, it really is. I mean, if you go through basically from this weekend onwards until Lakeside's completed, there's darts on every weekend. Yeah. And that's when BDO PDC is great for darts, and there is just blanket coverage of darts all the way through.
That's what we like, Richard. Well, thank you so much for your time, mate. A great T-shirt, 501. That's this is wonderful.
I need to get a hi-ho one, don't I?
You do, Richard, and your fans, and they do adore you up there at the Lakeside. They will insist you get one of those. I want you to walk on stage at the Lakeside at the beginning of January with the hi-ho on there. I don't think you'd have to do anything else. Just stand there. Then they will just go for it.
You'll have to settle for me saying it for now. Hi-ho.
You're the man. Thanks, Richard.
Cheers, Paul.